anecdotes, and look at this.
All right.
They can't be in the same room together. Look at that.
Yeah, there we go. I can see them both now. And it looks like, can they hear us? Bobcat, can you hear me?
I don't think.
Okay. Now they're smiling.
Hi, gentlemen.
Hey, how are you?
There we go.
Oh, man.
There we go.
Great to see you guys.
Thanks.
Great comedians, Bobcat Goldthwait, Dana Gould, and they are joining us via Zoom so we can see them. And Bobcat, wow, kind of a Walt Whitman-esque beard.
That's good. I would go with Randy Quaid's nutsack.
That would be, I'm sure.
That's something I don't want to think about.
Has a very handsome nutsack.
Thanks.
Dress code: guy who lives near the scrapyard.
Yeah, it's the hobo chic.
And then Dana looking like an air traffic controller, something. Very,
Thank you very much.
something very.
This is
We're
us in
gonna
a
land this
nutshell.
bird.
This is us in a nutshell. Dana's got a headset with a little microphone, and I just look like I shanked a guy over some stew.
Now, the reason the boys are up early talking to us, they have a new movie. It's coming out. It's called Joyride. And it says, according to the press release, following frenemies and veteran comedians Bobcat Goldthwait and Dana Gould, who have learned a lot since their near-fatal car accident. Yikes.
Oh, yeah.
And you guys toured around and you filmed the shows and edited it down, and it's both on and off stage, right? This little adventure.
Yeah, it's you get an idea of us on the road, but it's not like we're on the a lot of times when you see behind the scenes, people are acting wacky, and it's a real accurate portrayal of our friendship. And it says frenemies. The movie starts with Dana saying, "We didn't like each other when we met," and I go, "That's not true. I hated you."
Wow.
And Dana goes, "Well," and then we had that in common. And what people don't know, they think it was just like, oh, these two guys didn't get along when they met. But the reality of it is, I kind of tortured Dana for years. I mean, very cruel.
About 12.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
But then, and there's even footage of that. But it's funny. It's like at one point you see footage of that, and like I'm so nasty to him on stage, I don't get a laugh in the theater for another 10 minutes. Like people are like, nah. F that guy. Like, it's really weird.
I think like a lot of comedians, deep down, I don't like myself or parts of myself. Certainly in my youth, a lot of self-doubt. And I think that psychologically,
I fed on that.
Well, I think psychologically, I felt that I created you. I felt that like you were willed into existence by my id.
And me
like
being and I'm like, at that point in my life, I'm kind of like a trauma vampire. I thrive on just sucking the trauma out of other people. It's like, well, I think Dana can't go to bathroom in public urinals anymore. I think I terrified him enough. I'm on to my next.
Now, is this movie going to be in theaters? Is it on the way? What's the status?
As they say, limited release. But on October 29th, folks, you can pre-order it on iTunes and any place where you stream stuff. And right now, we're currently on tour. We were in Chicago, Boston. Last night was New York. That's where we are today. Tomorrow's L.A., Portland. And we take this little dog and pony show and go from city to city. And people.
In fact, Bob, lean to your left a little bit, just a little bit right now.
All right, I eat with this hand.
Just lean to your left. Hi, everybody.
Oh, you were in the same place.
You know what's weird is,
we now can occupy the same space.
Yeah, it's like, I'll do the interview, but you've got to be over there. No, but look at the weird thing is that's how big Dana really is. He's about 2 inches tall.
Bob, listen. Bob, take my advice.
Yeah.
I live on Bob's
He does look like he's on my shoulder.
I'm the great kazoo.
Oh, yeah. It looks like you're underneath the subway.
Hi, Dum Dum.
Dana, I always think of you.
By the way, not to interrupt, but what was the deal with the Great Gazoo? Hey, we have a caveman couple, and they live in and we need something else. How about a Martian?
A tiny Martian.
I think the show's kind of boring. He rides a dinosaur to work. Who cares?
We got to know from that work that the Martian's unbelievable.
Yeah, exactly. But by the way, that's the whole thing, that you get people in life that don't believe in evolution, but they do believe in angels. So it's like the Flintstones are fake, but the Great Gazoo is real. Okay, got it.
I was going to say, I always think of Dana Gould this time of year as we approach the month of November. Because of a piece that has become legendary on this show, referencing November 22nd, 1963.
Oh, yes.
So I always think of your birthday once again.
Yep.
9 months after.
9 months after the Kennedy assassination, which tells you exactly how my father processes grief.
Oh, that is I think of that all the time.
Lee Harvey Oswald was not the only lucky shot that day.
It was a coup d'etat, Mrs. Gould.
Now,
we are on the inside of the looking glass.
We are speaking with two great comedians, Bobcat Goldthwait, Dana Gould. Their new film is called Joyride. I do want to pass along something, Dana, that may interest you and Bobcat, I suppose. There is a podcast out there about Vaughn Meader. And I am totally serious.
Two great guests. I'm going to bore you with this.
No, I think these two guys might.
Is it hosted by Sarah Cooper by chance?
That's really funny.
Is it all about Vaughn Meader?
It's about the whole thing. Vaughn Meader was the famous Kennedy impressionist, and of course, after November 22nd, the gig kind of dried up.
Sarah Cooper.
In fact, Lenny Bruce performed, I think,
that
on
night.
November 5th, or that night.
It was that night he got up on stage at.
Poor Vaughn Meader in
Miami.
No, I think it wasn't Carnegie Hall, but it was a major venue in New York, and he said, "Boy, Vaughn Meader sure is effed." But it's a great exploration of that. I certainly recommend you look it up. It's about how things can go bad. I was thinking about it recently when John Gruden got canceled. I'm thinking, poor Frank Caliendo, he's going to get Vaughn Meadered here. But
I remember, Jeff Foxworthy. We used to have the same management, and he had because he sells his dolls, so you could get a doll version of his puppets, and he ordered a few thousand boxes.
You mean Jeff Dunham,
yeah.
Who did I say?
Foxworthy.
Oh, sorry.
You got it.
I didn't mean to insult Foxworthy.
You might be a ventriloquist, Jeff.
So Jeff Dunham, I'm sorry. He ordered thousands of boxes, and then he put the characters on the box, and he had the old guy character Walter. And it said, "Who's in the box?" He goes, "I don't know, Lady Di." So he owns 5,000 boxes with Lady Di.
It's terrible. It's terrible when your last name is an applicable action verb.
Wow.
Yeah. You never want to be like, oh, the guy got Gould. Oh, you mean he died while fornicating a bear?
For those of you that missed it, you might be a ventriloquist if. Very good. Once again, let me introduce our guests. They are Bobcat Goldthwait and Dana Gould, two great comedians.
Legends.
And they're on tour as well as available on the small box in your house somehow. It's a movie called Joyride, featuring some of their live comedy, some of the behind-the-scenes stuff. And
it's also like, it's an interesting thing because it's hopefully it's interesting to people. Besides our relationship, you see that get mended during the course of this, but you also see the history of our careers and our relationship with comedy. And that sounds very dry when I say it, but this is probably the only movie with Bob Hope and Kurt Cobain in it.
Wow. Yeah, that road movie didn't ever happen.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's
On the road to Nirvana. It was a utopia.
Yeah, they're both there. I mean, what it does is it's 80% of it is us on stage doing the show, and then the behind the scenes stuff is us traveling in between the shows and talking. And then because of COVID, Bob had time to make documentary footage, and we have access to all of this old footage. Me and the Bob Hope special.
But some of it just didn't exist too, though. I mean, like NBC. Like me setting the Tonight Show on fire, that doesn't exist. So the footage you're watching is from my deceased dad's library of my television appearances. But what's funny is there's been some of them when I'm looking at it that he turns off the VHS in the middle of it. Like he's watching the set and he's like, this set's not that good. Yeah. And so from the grave, he's still giving it to me.
Wow. I hesitate to laugh, but that's very funny. Let me ask you this. I don't want to get too much into the swamp here, but was there a format? Did one of you go up first? Were you up there together? How did that work?
Well, we started the show. We would come out, say hi, flip a coin, see who was the headliner that night,
right,
and then the other guy would open for the other guy. We noticed that the people enjoyed us screwing around, just babbling at the beginning of the show, flipping the coin. Just us playing off each other. And then eventually we just said, let's just jettison our acts and just stay out there together. And we would stay out and do sets. They would be like 2.5 hours long. And stuff.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's great.
But it didn't feel like it. And the thing is,
for the audience, if they said it felt like 5.
Yeah.
Now, would you ever do?
They described it as Dave Chappelle stretching.
Now, would you ever do the sort of thing that I just did 5 minutes ago, where I was just fishing for Dana to say something about that brilliant Kennedy assassination bit, where there's not a lot of comedy, but would you, Bobcat, say? You knew he had a great piece about something. Would you steer him toward that occasionally?
Yeah, we would. But like I had some head trauma, so we were in that car accident. So it'd be like, who's on first if Lou Costello had a frontal lobotomy? It'd be like, these baseball players have a lot of crazy names. Oh, tell me more.
It's like Abbott and Busey.
It is Abbott and Busey. I even say that. I come out and I go, I had and it's all organic. Dana goes, a concussion. And I go, I think I'm okay. I mean, I'm not Gary Busey. I know where I am. But
he's since changed his name to Gary Drug Abusey. But no, that was the show. I know Bob's inventory. Bob knows my inventory. And as we would talk, we would get close to an area, and you'll see in the film, I'll literally step back and Bob will step forward and do a bit. Then I'll answer it with a bit. Then we'll talk. So it's not like a 2-man act. We're not Roger and Roger, but we sort of did our acts concurrently, to use a 50 Cent word.
And we're not like trying to top each other or put each other down. I think that would be the one thing we do have in common with Martin and Lewis is that you see a genuine love of each other. Like you see us laughing and listening to the other guy. And sometimes there's the happiest parts in the movie I like is when you see genuine ad-libbing going on from Dana and I, where you feel it's like a prepared bit, but it wasn't.
Yeah. And I don't think, as Bob said, I don't think we could have done this 10 years ago. I think that we're both at a point where, like, I'm fine letting Bob have the spotlight. When it's my turn, I'll get for. It's not sweaty.
No.
We're not jumping all over each other.
Once again, our guests, Dana Gould and Bobcat Goldthwait. I just discovered the poster for this. And I know this is radio, but I'm going to give it a little bit of a description. It kind of looks like one of those classic Mad Magazine caricatures.
Big Daddy Roth is, what we were doing.
Yeah, exactly. And Bobcat has on the Billy Jack hat.
Well, which I own. No biggie, but gone.
Whoa.
Not the Billy Jack hat, but I had one made.
Oh, good. And it says comedy without breaks, buckle up, Troy. That's a great poster. Wow.
That was done by my friend Mark Tavares, who I met years ago. He used to work at KNB Effects and was one of the designers of the walkers in The Walking Dead.
Oh,
and then he's now a graphic designer, and he's a genius. He's like, I literally said, hey, we want to do something like Ed Big Daddy Roth, and that arrived about 6 hours later. Jesus.
Oh, it's great. It's great. You guys are in a car. It's a fantastic poster, but I know this is radio. No one can see it. Well, maybe.
Well, because the tour started with Dana and I getting in this car accident, and the press was like minor injuries, and it's like, we had broken ribs. I had a concussion. I don't remember the accident. It was my assistant at the time, and her little dog was in the passenger seat. We could see the gig from the thing. If that dog wasn't in the seat and the dog survived and was fine because he's just a meatball. But one of us would have been at least would have been dead or something.
I was going to get into the passenger seat. And the dog Bronx was in the passenger seat, and she went to move it, and I went, "Oh, don't worry about it. I'll sit in the back. It's just 3 blocks. I don't care." And had I been in that seat, I think meatball is an appropriate analogy.
Man.
No, he was fine, but
what I mean is that because the dog was the size. Yeah, the dog was the size of a ham. The dog just went onto the floor.
He just shot. But we broke our ribs on each other.
Ooh.
So it was like the origin of a supervillain. It's Dr. Hack.
Well, that's the best. You got to leave on that note. Thank you. Dana Gould, Bobcat Goldthwait. The movie, once again, is called Joyride. And Google it. Find out about this. It looks like it's going to be great. These guys are 2 of the best comedians out there. And they're also out there in the real world. Apparently about to fly to California through what is being described as the biggest storm in the history of the West Coast. Hope you guys land. You may want to pull a Waylon Jennings and do your laundry and not end up in a Buddy Holly International cornfield.
I don't think it'll reach LA. I think LA has a law that no water can get near it.
Well, Tom, on that happy note.
Yeah.
I just want to put a little fear into you.
God.
Well, nothing's changed.
Yes.
Good to hear you guys again.
At least Bob isn't wearing anything that's evocative of Buddy Holly.
I look like a Big Bopper and Buddy Holly had a baby.
Safe travels, gentlemen.
Hey, thanks, guys. Please stop by again soon. You're the best.